20 most shocking black actor deaths. What if the price of immortality is a life cut tragically short? At Black Excellence Legends, we pull back the curtain on the icons who reach the pinnacle of greatness, only to vanish in the blink of an eye. From the haunting echoes of Whitney Houston's final notes to the revolutionary blueprint left by Nipsey Hussle, these aren't just biographies. They are cautionary tales of brilliance and heartbreak. How do the brightest stars burn out so fast, and what secrets did they take to the grave? Subscribe now and join the marathon to preserve the truth behind the legends. Michael K. Williams. Michael Kenneth Williams was much more than a character actor. He was a profound vessel for the American urban experience. Born in Brooklyn, his journey began not on a movie set, but on the dance floor, touring with icons like Madonna and George Michael. However, a life-altering bar fight on his 25th birthday left him with a distinctive facial scar, a physical mark that would eventually become his cinematic signature, pivoting his career toward gritty, authentic performances. Williams's definitive contribution to television was undoubtedly Omar Little in HBO's The Wire. He transformed what could have been a stereotypical stick-up man into a complex Robin Hood-like figure who whistled "The Farmer in the Dell" while patrolling the streets of Baltimore. Omar was revolutionary, a gay man in the hyper-masculine world of the drug trade defined by a strict moral code. Through this role, Michael challenged societal prejudices and earned the admiration of everyone from street kids to President Barack Obama. Beyond The Wire, Williams displayed incredible range as Albert Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire, bringing quiet dignity to a powerful 1920s mob boss. He possessed an uncanny ability to find the humanity in broken individuals, likely because he was so open about his own struggles. Michael was transparent about his long-standing battle with substance abuse, often admitting that the intensity of his characters sometimes bled into his personal life. Tragically, on September 6, 2021, Williams was found deceased in his Williamsburg penthouse. The cause was an accidental overdose involving fentanyl-laced heroin. He was 54. His passing was a staggering blow to the arts, as he remained an active advocate for criminal justice reform and a mentor to youth in his community. Michael K. Williams didn't just play roles, he gave a voice to the marginalized, ensuring their stories were told with elegance, pain, and undeniable truth. The Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, known globally as Biggie Smalls, or the Notorious B.I.G., remains the gold standard for lyrical storytelling in hip-hop. Emerging from the street corners of Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, Wallace possessed a rhythmic flow and a deep, commanding baritone that felt like a velvet hammer. He didn't just rap, he composed vivid cinematic portraits of the struggle between the allure of wealth and the crushing weight of poverty. His 1994 debut, Ready to Die, became an instant masterpiece, revitalizing East Coast rap with its blend of gritty realism and polished, infectious hooks. What set Biggie apart was his incredible wit and self-deprecating humor. He navigated the hustler persona with a level of vulnerability rarely seen at the time, openly discussing his insecurities and the paranoia that comes with sudden fame. Hits like Juicy became anthems of aspiration, while tracks like Warning showcased his unparalleled ability to build tension through complex internal rhymes. By the mid-90s, he was the undisputed centerpiece of Bad Boy Records, elevating his close friend and producer Sean Puffy Combs to mogul status. However, his meteoric rise was overshadowed by the toxic East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Following the murder of his former friend Tupac Shakur in 1996, the atmosphere grew suffocatingly dangerous. On March 9, 1997, while leaving a party at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, Wallace was killed in a drive-by shooting at a red light. He was only 24 years old. The murder remains one of the most high-profile cold cases in American history, sparking endless theories and a permanent sense of loss within the industry. His double album, Life After Death, was released posthumously just 16 days later, debuting at #1 and cementing his legacy as a titan. Biggie's influence is still palpable today, as every lyricist who prioritizes flow and narrative is essentially walking in the oversized footsteps of the man who turned the Brooklyn struggle into high art. Black Rob. Robert Ross, professionally known as Black Rob, stood as one of the most authentic voices to ever emerge from the Bad Boy Records roster. Born in Buffalo but raised in the heart of East Harlem, he began honing his craft as a teenager, eventually catching the ear of Sean Diddy Combs. While many artists in the late 90s leaned into the shiny suit era of glitz and glamour, Rob remained a steadfast representative of the concrete. He possessed a baritone voice that sounded like gravel and honey, delivering street narratives with a rhythmic precision that felt urgent and unembellished. His breakout moment arrived in 2000 with the seismic hit, Whoa. This track didn't just top the charts, it redefined the linguistic landscape of hip-hop for a generation. With its relentless driving beat and Rob's repetitive, infectious hook, the song became a global phenomenon, proving that authentic street tales could achieve massive commercial success without losing their soul. His debut album, Life Story, remains a seminal project praised for its cinematic scope and Rob's ability to humanize the struggle of the disenfranchised. He was a master of the short story format, within a 4-minute song painting vivid pictures of New York's alleyways and rooftop dreams. However, Rob's later years were characterized by a grueling battle with severe health complications. He suffered a series of strokes starting around 2015 and struggled with high blood pressure and kidney failure. The hip-hop community was deeply shaken in April 2021 when a video surfaced showing a frail Rob in a hospital bed paying tribute to the recently deceased DMX. The footage sparked a national conversation about the lack of social safety nets for aging entertainers. On April 17, 2021, Robert Ross passed away at a hospital in Atlanta due to cardiac arrest stemming from his chronic kidney disease. He was 52 years old. His death marked the end of an era for Harlem rap. Black Rob didn't just sell records. He provided a raw, unfiltered soundtrack for those navigating the complexities of urban life, ensuring that the spirit of the old Harlem would never be forgotten. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Pence Gaye Jr., often hailed as the Prince of Soul, was a visionary whose music evolved from polished Motown pop to profound social commentary. Born in Washington, D.C., Gaye possessed a 3-octave vocal range that could glide from a gritty growl to a celestial falsetto. In the 1960s, he became Motown's most versatile hitmaker, delivering romantic classics like How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You and iconic duets with Tammy Terrell. Yet beneath the suave exterior, Marvin harbored a restless spirit that yearned to address the turbulence of the world around him. His 1971 masterpiece, What's Going On, changed music forever. By defying Motown's hit factory formula, he created a unified concept album that explored themes of environmentalism, poverty, and the Vietnam War. This record established the artist as a social philosopher, proving that soul music could be both commercially viable and intellectually challenging. He followed this with Let's Get It On, an album that redefined sensuality in the modern era, further cementing his status as a global icon of intimacy and vulnerability. Tragically, Gaye's personal life was marred by internal demons, including depression, financial instability, and a volatile relationship with his father, a strict and abusive minister. Despite a triumphant comeback in 1982 with the Grammy-winning Sexual Healing, his struggles followed him home. On April 1, 1984, the day before his 45th birthday, Marvin was fatally shot by his father during a physical altercation at their family residence in Los Angeles. The world was paralyzed by the news that a man who sang so eloquently about love and peace had fallen victim to such a senseless act of domestic violence. Marvin Gaye was 44 when he passed. His legacy remains untouchable, influencing every generation of R&B and neo-soul artists who followed. He didn't just sing songs. He bared his soul, leaving behind a timeless discography that continues to heal, provoke thought, and provide a sanctuary for the heartbroken and the hopeful alike. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Bobbi Kristina Brown was born into the blinding glare of global superstardom as the only child of pop icon Whitney Houston and R&B bad boy Bobby Brown. From her first cries, her life was a public spectacle documented by paparazzi and reality television cameras. Growing up amidst the turbulent, high-stakes world of the music industry, Bobbi Kristina, often called Chrissy Bomb by those closest to her, faced the impossible task of forging her own identity while carrying the weight of her parents' legendary yet troubled legacies. She was a young woman who dreamed of acting and singing, frequently seen on stage with her mother embodying the hope of a second generation of greatness. However, the immense pressure of fame was compounded by a childhood marked by her parents' public struggles with addiction. When Whitney Houston passed away in 2012, Bobbi Kristina's world fractured. As the sole heir to her mother's vast estate, she became the focal point of intense media scrutiny and family disputes, all while navigating a level of grief that few could comprehend. Her relationship with Nick Gordon, a young man raised as her brother by Whitney, became a source of constant controversy, further complicating her attempt to find stability in the wake of her mother's absence. History repeated itself in a manner so eerily precise that it haunted the public consciousness. On January 31st, 2015, Bobbi Kristina was found unresponsive in a bathtub at her home in Alpharetta, Georgia, a chilling echo of her mother's death just 3 years prior. She spent nearly 6 months in a medically induced coma as the world watched and hoped for a miracle. Tragically, she never regained consciousness and passed away at a hospice facility on July 26, 2015. She was only 22 years old. Her death was a sobering reminder of the devastating impact of generational trauma and the crushing expectations of fame. Bobbi Kristina was not just a headline, she was a daughter who lost her anchor and a young talent whose song ended before the first verse was finished. She rests beside her mother, finally finding the peace that remained so elusive during her short storied life. Jam Master Jay. Jason Mizell, professionally revered as Jam Master. Jay was the sonic backbone of Run DMC, the group that arguably dragged hip-hop into the mainstream consciousness. While Run and DMC commanded the microphones with their rhythmic interplay, Jay sat behind the turntables crafting the aggressive rock-infused soundscapes that defined the 1980s. With his trademark black fedora, Adidas sneakers, and unwavering focus, he wasn't just a DJ, he was an orchestral conductor for the urban era. He understood that hip-hop needed more than just rhymes, it needed a pulse, a heavy drum, and the scratch of a needle to bridge the gap between street poetry and global stadium anthems. Beyond his technical prowess, Jay was a vital mentor and a cornerstone of the Hollis, Queens community. He possessed a rare eye for talent, famously discovering and developing 50 Cent long before the rest of the world knew his name. Jay established the Scratch DJ Academy to ensure the art of turntablism survived the digital transition, proving his devotion to the craft over commercial greed. He remained accessible to his neighborhood, choosing to stay connected to his roots rather than isolating himself in a Hollywood bubble. This accessibility, however, would eventually place him in the crosshairs of a tragedy that remains one of the genre's darkest chapters. On the evening of October 30th, 2002, the music world stopped when news broke that Jay had been fatally shot inside his recording studio in Merrick Boulevard. He was only 37. The motive remained shrouded in mystery for nearly 2 decades, fueling endless speculation and a deep sense of injustice. It wasn't until 2020 that federal prosecutors finally charged 2 men alleging the murder was a retaliation for a failed drug trafficking deal Jay was purportedly involved in to clear debts. Despite the tragic nature of his end, his influence is immortal. Jam Master Jay didn't just play records. He scratched the DNA of modern music, ensuring that the DJ would always be the heartbeat of the culture. Whitney Houston. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was arguably the greatest vocal technician of the modern era. A singer whose sheer power and precision earned her the simple yet definitive nickname, The Voice was. Born into a musical lineage in Newark, New Jersey, daughter of Cissy Houston and cousin to Dionne Warwick, Whitney's talent was a force of nature. In the 1980s, she shattered racial barriers in the music industry, becoming the first artist to achieve 7 consecutive #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. Her voice was a majestic instrument capable of effortless, soaring crescendos that redefined the standards of pop and R&B. Her global dominance reached its zenith with the 1992 film The Bodyguard. Her rendition of I Will Always Love You didn't just top charts, it became a cultural phenomenon showcasing a masterclass in vocal control and emotional resonance. Beyond her music, Whitney's elegance and poise made her a global icon of grace. However, as the 1990s progressed, her personal struggles began to eclipse her professional triumphs. Her turbulent marriage to Bobby Brown and a highly publicized battle with substance abuse took a visible toll on her health and her once pristine voice. Despite multiple attempts at a comeback in periods of sobriety, the industry's pressures and personal demons remained a relentless shadow. The world was paralyzed on February 11, 2012, the eve of the Grammy Awards. Whitney was found unresponsive in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. She was 48 years old. The coroner's report cited accidental drowning with heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. Her passing at the age of 48 felt like an impossible tragedy for a woman who had provided the soundtrack to countless lives. Whitney didn't just sing songs, she interpreted human emotion with a clarity that remains unmatched. Today, every diva who steps onto a stage walks in her shadow, forever chasing the gold standard of vocal perfection she established. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was the architect of a new musical language, a man whose transition from gospel royalty to pop superstardom effectively birthed the genre of soul. Born in Mississippi and raised in Chicago, Cooke possessed a voice of liquid gold, a smooth, effortless tenor that felt like silk against the skin. As the lead singer of the Soul Stirrers, he revolutionized religious music with his charisma, but it was his 1957 crossover hit, You Send Me, that signaled a seismic shift in American culture. He wasn't just a performer, he was a pioneer who exercised unprecedented control over his career, founding his own record label and publishing company at a time when Black artists were routinely exploited by the industry. Cooke's brilliance lay in his duality. He could deliver light-hearted chart toppers like Cupid and Twistin' the Night Away, while simultaneously harboring a deep commitment to the civil rights movement. His friendship with figures like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali fueled his desire to create art that mattered. This culminated in his posthumous masterpiece, A Change Is Gonna Come, a hauntingly beautiful anthem that captured the pain and unwavering hope of the struggle for equality. However, just as he reached the zenith of his creative and political influence, his life was extinguished under circumstances that remain a subject of intense historical debate. On December 11, 1964, Cooke was shot and killed by Bertha Franklin, the manager of the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles. The official account labeled it a justifiable homicide, claiming Cooke had attacked Franklin in a state of rage while searching for a woman who had allegedly robbed him. Many of his contemporaries and family members never accepted this version of events, suspecting a more sinister conspiracy to silence a powerful Black man in his prime. Sam Cooke was only 33 years old. Despite the murky details of his passing, his legacy is crystalline. He provided the blueprint for the modern singer-songwriter and remains the eternal voice of a movement that refuses to stay silent. DMX. Earl Simmons, known to the world as DMX, Darkman X, was the rawest, most visceral force in the history of hip-hop. Emerging from a childhood of extreme trauma and neglect in Yonkers, New York, he didn't just rap. He barked, growled, and bled through the microphone. In 1998, when the genre was dominated by the flashy, shiny suit aesthetic, DMX brought the streets back to the forefront. He achieved the unprecedented feat of releasing 2 #1 albums in a single year, It's Dark and Hell is Hot and Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, cementing his status as the undisputed king of hardcore rap. His voice was a jagged instrument that could transition from a terrifying street anthem like Rough Riders Anthem to a tearful spiritual prayer in a matter of seconds. DMX was a man of profound contradictions, a platinum-selling superstar who struggled with the law, and a devout Christian who battled a lifelong addiction to crack cocaine that began when he was just 14. His vulnerability was his greatest strength. He was one of the few artists who would openly weep on stage, sharing his internal agony and his search for redemption with millions of fans who saw their own struggles reflected in his eyes. Beyond music, his magnetic intensity translated perfectly to the big screen, starring in cult classics like Belly Exit Wounds and Cradle to the Grave. He possessed a natural, unforced charisma that made him a Hollywood favorite, even as he remained a permanent fixture in the headlines for his personal turbulence. The world lost its most authentic voice on April 9, 2021. After suffering a catastrophic heart attack triggered by a drug overdose at his home, DMX remained on life support for a week before passing away at White Plains Hospital. He was 50 years old. His death sparked a global outpouring of grief, culminating in a funeral procession through New York, led by thousands of motorcyclists, a tribute fitting for the leader of the Rough Riders. DMX left behind 15 children and a legacy of uncompromising truth. He proved that you could be broken, scarred, and flawed, yet still be a vessel for God's light, leaving an indelible mark on the soul of the culture. Rich Homie Quan. DeQuantis, Devontae Lamar, known to the world as Rich Homie Quan, was a pivotal figure in the sonic evolution of Atlanta's hip-hop scene during the early 2000s. Born and raised in a city that had become the epicenter of the genre, Quan brought a unique, soulful sensibility to the trap music landscape. He possessed a distinctive warbling delivery that blurred the lines between rapping and singing, characterized by an emotional resonance that felt both vulnerable and triumphant. His 2013 breakout single, Type of Way, became a cultural cornerstone, earning the endorsement of everyone from street enthusiasts to mainstream legends and effectively signaling a shift toward a more melodic, expressive era of Southern rap. Quan's impact was solidified through his involvement in the powerhouse collective Rich Gang alongside Young Thug. Their collaborative chemistry resulted in Lifestyle, one of the most successful and influential tracks of the decade, which showcased Quan's ability to turn a simple hook into a global anthem. Despite his massive commercial success, he remained a poet of the struggle, often infusing his lyrics with reflections on his time spent in prison and the immense pressure of providing for his family. He was an artist who took immense pride in his independence, later navigating his career through his own label to maintain creative control over his evolving sound. The entertainment industry was left in a state of shock on September 5, 2024, when Quan was found unresponsive at his home in Atlanta. He was only 34 years old. The medical examiner later determined the cause of death to be an accidental drug overdose involving a lethal combination of multiple substances, including fentanyl and alprazolam. His passing felt particularly heavy because he had been in the midst of a musical resurgence, frequently sharing snippets of new work that promised a matured version of his signature sound. Rich Homie Quan didn't just provide hits for the club, he provided a voice for the hustle, leaving behind a legacy of melodic innovation that continues to influence the mumble rap and melodic trap artists of today. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was a transformative actor whose career was defined by an unparalleled commitment to portraying Black excellence with grace, depth, and unwavering integrity. Born in South Carolina and educated at Howard University, Boseman possessed a regal presence that felt both ancient and modern. He didn't just play characters, he inhabited historical giants, bringing Jackie Robinson, James Brown, and Thurgood Marshall to life on the silver screen. Each performance was a masterclass in nuance, as he meticulously captured the weight of their contributions to American history while revealing the quiet vulnerabilities beneath their public personas. He was an actor who understood the power of representation and the responsibility of being a vessel for legendary stories. In 2018, Boseman achieved global immortality as T'Challa in Marvel's Black Panther. The film was more than a cinematic success. It was a global cultural phenomenon that shattered box office records and challenged industry perceptions of Black-led narratives. As the King of Wakanda, Chadwick became a symbol of nobility and strength for millions, embodying a hero who led with intellect and compassion. He carried the immense mantle of being a worldwide icon with a quiet, humble poise that endeared him to fans of all ages. He became the face of a new era of storytelling, one where African heritage and futuristic brilliance coexisted in a way that inspired an entire generation. The world was paralyzed with shock on August 28, 2020, when news broke that Chadwick had passed away at his home. It was then revealed that he had been battling stage 4 colon cancer since 2016. He had endured countless surgeries and rounds of chemotherapy in silence, all while filming some of the most physically demanding movies of his career. He was only 43 years old. The revelation of his private struggle transformed his legacy into one of mythic proportions. He was a real-life superhero who fought his greatest battle away from the cameras. Chadwick Boseman didn't just leave behind a filmography, he left behind a blueprint for how to live with purpose, proving that true power lies in how one uses their time to uplift others, even in the face of their own mortality. Nipsey Hussle. Ermias Joseph Asghedom, known professionally as Nipsey Hussle, was far more than a Grammy-nominated West Coast rapper. He was a visionary entrepreneur and a community architect. Growing up in the Crenshaw district of Los Angeles, Nipsey's early life was entangled with the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, an experience that heavily informed his raw lyrical narratives. However, he transitioned from the streets to the boardroom with a marathon mindset, viewing hip-hop not as an end goal, but as a vehicle to achieve economic empowerment for his people. He famously pioneered the Proud to Pay campaign, selling his Crenshaw mixtape for $100 a copy, a move that earned the respect of industry titans like Jay-Z and proved the value of independent ownership. Nipsey's brilliance was rooted in his buy back the block philosophy. He didn't just rap about wealth, he invested in the very soil that raised him. He opened the Marathon clothing store, founded Vector 90, a STEM-focused co-working space, and spearheaded multi-million-dollar real estate projects in South LA. His goal was to bridge the gap between inner-city youth and the technology sector, providing a blueprint for sustainable growth within marginalized neighborhoods. His 2018 major label debut, Victory Lap, was a celebratory masterpiece that balanced street anthems with financial literacy, earning a Grammy nomination and cementing his status as a lyrical powerhouse. The world was shattered on March 31st, 2019, when news broke that Nipsey had been fatally shot outside his Marathon clothing store. He was 33 years old. The murder, carried out by an acquaintance following a brief verbal dispute, was a devastating blow to a community that viewed him as a beacon of hope. His death ignited a global movement of peace and unity, even prompting a historic truce between rival gangs in Los Angeles. Nipsey Hussle's physical journey ended prematurely, but his marathon continues. He left behind a legacy of self-reliance, intellectual curiosity, and a profound commitment to the elevation of Black excellence, proving that one man's vision can indeed change the world. Young Dolph. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., widely celebrated as Young Dolph, was a titan of Southern rap who built a multi-million-dollar empire on the foundation of fierce independence. Born in Chicago but raised in the rugged landscape of Castalia Heights, Memphis, Dolph possessed a booming bass-heavy voice and a delivery that felt like a conversation with a street philosopher. He famously rejected a $22 million major label record deal early in his career, choosing instead to bet on himself by founding Paper Route Empire (PRE). This move made him a folk hero in the industry, proving that an artist could dominate the Billboard charts while owning 100% of their masters and creative direction. Dolph's music was characterized by a relentless, get-it-out-the-mud work ethic and a sharp, often humorous lyrical wit. His 2016 debut studio album, King of Memphis, signaled a hostile takeover of the Southern trap scene, while projects like Rich Slave displayed his ability to blend infectious club bangers with social commentary on the complexities of Black wealth in America. Beyond the studio, Dolph was legendary for his philanthropy in Memphis. He was known for personally handing out turkeys every Thanksgiving, donating generously to his former high school, and mentoring a roster of young artists under his PRE imprint, viewing their success as an extension of his own. The streets of Memphis fell silent on November 17, 2021, when news broke that Dolph had been fatally shot while visiting Makeda's homemade butter cookies. He was only 36 years old. The tragedy was particularly poignant as he was in town to perform community service and was simply buying cookies for his mother, a gesture that epitomized his devotion to family. His death sent shockwaves through the music world, leading to an outpouring of grief for a man who represented the pinnacle of the self-made American dream. Young Dolph didn't just leave behind a catalog of hits, he left a blueprint for artist autonomy, proving that loyalty to one's roots and belief in oneself are the most powerful currencies in existence. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Amaru Shakur, born Lassane Parish Crooks, was more than a rapper. He was a global cultural phenomenon and a multifaceted intellectual whose influence transcends music. Born into a family of Black Panther activists, Tupac was raised with a radical political consciousness that fueled his art. He possessed a rare dualistic brilliance capable of delivering scathing social critiques on police brutality and Trapped, while simultaneously penning soul-stirring odes to Black motherhood in Dear Mama. His voice was the sound of a generation's internal conflict, torn between the aggressive survival instincts of the thug life persona and the sensitive poetic soul of a classically trained actor who studied Shakespeare at the Baltimore School for the Arts. Tupac's impact on cinema was equally profound. He brought a haunting, magnetic intensity to the screen in films like Juice, Poetic Justice, and Above the Rim, proving that his charisma was limitless. By the mid-1990s, after joining Death Row Records, he became the primary figurehead of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, a conflict that escalated to a fever pitch. Despite the controversy, his 1996 double album, All Eyes on Me, became a diamond-certified masterpiece, showcasing his relentless work ethic. He recorded hundreds of songs in a frantic race against time, as if he intuitively knew his window of opportunity was closing. The world stood still on September 7, 1996, when Tupac was targeted in a drive-by shooting at a red light in Las Vegas. He had just attended a Mike Tyson boxing match and was riding in a car with Suge Knight. 6 days later, on September 13th, he succumbed to his injuries at University Medical Center. He was only 25 years old. For nearly 3 decades, his murder remained one of history's most debated mysteries until a breakthrough in 2023 led to an indictment. Tupac Shakur didn't just sell records. He ignited a global conversation about race, poverty, and resilience. He remains the eternal rebel, a martyr of the culture whose poetry continues to inspire millions to keep their heads up. Lloyd Avery II. Lloyd Avery II was a talented actor who became an unintended symbol of the tragic intersection between cinematic art and street reality. Born into a middle-class family in Baldwin Hills, Los Angeles, Lloyd didn't grow up in the environment he would eventually portray on screen. However, his life changed forever in 1991 when he was cast in John Singleton's seminal masterpiece, Boys in the Hood. Playing the role of Knucklehead Number 2, the gunman who assassinated the character Ricky Lloyd delivered a performance characterized by a chilling, cold-eyed intensity. That single role cemented his place in film history, but also set him on a precarious path where the boundaries of his persona began to fracture. As his career progressed with roles in Poetic Justice and Don't Be a Menace, Lloyd began to gravitate toward the very lifestyle he depicted. In a phenomenon often described as method acting gone wrong, he started associating with gang members and adopting a street-hardened identity. By the late 1990s, the promising actor who had once shared scenes with Tupac Shakur and Janet Jackson was deeply entrenched in criminal activity. This descent culminated in a double homicide in 1999, for which he was arrested and eventually sentenced to life in prison. He transformed from an artist telling stories about the hood into a permanent resident of the penal system, a transformation that shocked those who knew his middle-class upbringing. The final chapter of Lloyd's life was more horrifying than any Hollywood script. On September 4th, 2005, while serving his sentence at Pelican Bay State Prison, Lloyd was found deceased in his cell. He had been brutally beaten and strangled by his cellmate Kevin Power, a self-proclaimed Satanist. In a gruesome detail, Power later admitted to using Lloyd's body as part of a ritualistic display. Lloyd Avery II was 36 years old. His death was a grim, full-circle tragedy. A man who became famous for playing a killer on screen ended his life as a victim of a real-life monster. He remains a cautionary tale about the dangers of losing oneself in a role and the unforgiving nature of the path he chose to follow. Aaliyah Dana Houghton was the ethereal heartbeat of modern R&B, a visionary artist who redefined the genre's aesthetic with her signature street but sweet persona. Born in Brooklyn and raised in Detroit, Aaliyah possessed a voice that was both breathy and precise, moving through complex, syncopated beats with the grace of a professional dancer. By the age of 15, she was already a platinum-selling star, but it was her collaboration with Timbaland and Missy Elliott on the 1996 album One in a Million that changed the landscape of music forever. Her sound, a futuristic blend of staccato rhythms and velvet vocals, became the blueprint for a decade of pop and soul influencing everyone from Beyoncé to contemporary alt-R&B stars. Beyond her sonic innovation, Aaliyah was a burgeoning cinematic force. She brought a quiet, magnetic charisma to the screen in Romeo Must Die, proving she could hold her own alongside action legend Jet Li. Her role as Queen Akasha in Queen of the Damned showcased a darker, more authoritative side of her talent, solidifying her status as a multi-hyphenate icon. With her trademark baggy pants, swooping hair covering one eye, and an air of mystery that defied the era of oversharing, Aaliyah was the ultimate cool girl. She navigated the industry with a maturity and poise that suggested she was destined for a decades-long reign as the queen of urban pop. The trajectory of music history was tragically altered on August 25, 2001. After finishing the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and 8 others boarded a small Cessna 402B to return to Florida. The aircraft, which was later determined to be significantly overloaded and piloted by an individual with a falsified record, crashed shortly after takeoff. There were no survivors. Aaliyah was only 22 years old. Her passing felt like a global eclipse. The world didn't just lose a singer, it lost the future of a sound. She remains the one-in-a-million artist, a timeless icon of style and grace, whose influence is woven into the very fabric of modern music, forever young and forever revolutionary. Mandisa. Mandisa Lynn Hundley, known simply to the world as Mandisa, was a beacon of light in the contemporary Christian music, CCM industry. She first captured the public's heart as a top 10 finalist on the fifth season of American Idol in 2006. While many contestants fade into obscurity, Mandisa used the platform to launch a career defined by resilience and radical self-love. She became famous not just for her powerful, soulful vocals, but for her grace. When Judge Simon Cowell made cruel remarks about her weight, she publicly forgave him, stating that her faith required her to show him the same kindness she had been shown by God. This moment of integrity set the tone for her entire ministry. Over the next decade, Mandisa became a dominant force in Christian music, earning 5 Grammy nominations and winning Best Contemporary Christian Music Album for Overcomer in 2014. Her songs such as Stronger and Good Morning became anthems for people facing their darkest hours. However, Mandisa was also profoundly honest about her own shadows. Following the tragic death of a close friend, she spiraled into a deep depression and a period of isolation, which she later chronicled in her memoir, Out of the Dark. By sharing her struggles with mental health and emotional eating, she broke barriers in a genre that often demands a facade of perfection, proving that faith and struggle can coexist. The music community was struck by a profound sense of loss on April 18, 2024, when Mandisa was found deceased in her Nashville home. She was 47 years old. After a period of speculation, the medical examiner's report concluded that she died of complications related to Class 3 obesity. Her passing was a sobering moment for her millions of fans, highlighting the physical toll of a battle she had fought with transparency for years. Mandisa's legacy is one of unyielding joy and authenticity. She didn't just sing about overcoming, she lived the process out loud, ensuring that anyone who felt broken knew they were still worthy of love and light. Chino XL. Derek Barbosa, known professionally as Chino XL, was a lyrical juggernaut who occupied a unique space in the pantheon of hip-hop. Born in the Bronx and raised in New Jersey, Chino was half Puerto Rican and half African-American, a heritage he often explored in his complex, lightning-fast verses. He was widely regarded as one of the most gifted, technical rappers in history, famous for his intricate metaphors, dark humor, and a vocabulary that challenged the most seasoned listeners. His 1996 debut album, Here to Save You All, sent shockwaves through the industry. It was a masterclass in battle rap that didn't just target rivals, but dismantled the very idea of lyrical mediocrity. Chino XL was an intellectual force outside of music as well. He was a member of Mensa, the High IQ Society, a fact that surprised no one who followed his dense, multi-layered wordplay. His career was marked by legendary freestyle sessions and high-profile feuds, most notably with Tupac Shakur, which only served to highlight his fearlessness in a genre built on competition. Beyond the microphone, Chino successfully transitioned into acting, appearing in films like Alex and Emma and television series such as Reno 9/11. He possessed a physically imposing stature and a magnetic intensity that allowed him to play both menacing villains and thoughtful, nuanced characters, further proving his versatility as a creator. The hip-hop world was hit with a wave of sorrow on July 28, 2024, when news broke of Chino's passing at the age of 50. While initial reports were vague, it was later revealed by his family that the artist had taken his own life following a long, private struggle with depression. His death added a somber layer to his legacy, sparking a renewed and necessary conversation within the rap community about the mental health of men and the weight of maintaining a tough exterior. Chino XL left behind 4 daughters and a body of work that remains the gold standard for aspiring lyricists. He was a man who conquered the English language and used it to carve his name into the bedrock of hip-hop history. Chance Perdomo. Chance Perdomo was a rising star whose electric screen presence and immense range made him one of the most promising actors of his generation. Born in Los Angeles and raised in Southampton, England, Perdomo possessed a unique cross-cultural appeal that blended British theatrical discipline with Hollywood magnetism. He first captured global attention with his role as Ambrose Spellman in Netflix's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. As the witty pansexual warlock, Perdomo brought a soulful sophistication to the screen, turning what could have been a supporting role into a fan favorite, characterized by warmth, intellect, and mystery. His performance was so impactful that it earned him a BAFTA nomination for Best Actor in a leading role for the BBC film Killed by My Dad, where he portrayed the tragic reality of a gig economy worker with devastating authenticity. At the time of his passing, Perdomo was reaching a new professional zenith as Andre Anderson in the Amazon Prime series Gen V, a spin-off of the hit show The Boys. Playing a student with magnetic manipulation powers, Chance grounded the superhero genre with a vulnerable human performance that explored the burdens of legacy and expectation. Off-camera, he was known by his colleagues and fans for his infectious smile, his philosophical outlook on life, and his deep passion for the craft of storytelling. He was an actor who didn't just recite lines. He sought to understand the societal undercurrents of his characters, making him a vital voice for young Black actors in the industry. The world of entertainment was paralyzed by a sudden, heartbreaking tragedy on March 29, 2024. Perdomo was traveling on a motorcycle when he was involved in a fatal single-vehicle collision. No other individuals were involved in the accident. He was only 27 years old. The news sent shockwaves through the industry, leading to an indefinite production delay for the second season of Gen V and a massive outpouring of tributes from around the world. Chance Perdomo was a young man whose light shone exceptionally bright, leaving behind a legacy of brilliant performances that serve as a bittersweet reminder of a talent that had only begun to reach its full potential. He died at the peak of his creative power, leaving a void that will be felt in the hearts of audiences and peers alike. Erica Ashe. Erica Ashe was a comedic powerhouse and a versatile actress whose career was defined by her razor-sharp wit and a chameleon-like ability to inhabit any role. Born into a military family in Florida, Erica originally planned to become a doctor attending Emory University for pre-medicine. However, a trip to Japan changed her trajectory when she began modeling and performing, discovering a natural gift for entertaining that she couldn't ignore. She first rose to prominence as a standout cast member on Mad TV and The Big Gay Sketch Show, where her brilliant impressions and fearless physical comedy made her a fan favorite. She possessed the rare talent of being able to find the humor in the mundane while grounding her characters in authentic human emotion. Erica's career reached new heights with her role as Bridget Hart on the hit parody series Real Husbands of Hollywood, where she held her own alongside titans like Kevin Hart. However, it was her leading role as Mary Charles M.C. Calloway in the Starz series Survivor's Remorse that showcased her full range. As the fiercely protective and hilarious sister of a pro basketball star, Erica brought a blend of sass, vulnerability, and intellectual depth to the screen. She was an actress who refused to be boxed into a single genre, seamlessly transitioning between broad comedies like Scary Movie 5 and more grounded projects like the Broadway musical Baby It's You. The world of entertainment was dimmed on July 28, 2024, when her family announced that Erica had passed away following a long and private battle with cancer. She was 46 years old. Her death sparked a wave of tributes from the comedy and acting communities, with peers remembering her not just for her talent, but for her infectious laughter, her sharp intellect, and her unwavering kindness. Erica Ashe was a woman who traded a stethoscope for a microphone, and in doing so healed people through laughter. She left behind a legacy of joy and a reminder that true greatness lies in the ability to make the world a little brighter, one punchline at a time. The lives of these icons, from Whitney Houston to Chadwick Boseman, form a tapestry of immense talent and profound tragedy. They didn't just create art, they built legacies that redefine the culture. However, their untimely departures leave us with a heavy question: is the immense pressure of global fame a price too high for the greatness we celebrate? As we honor their contributions here at Black Excellence Legends, we must ask ourselves if the world failed to protect those who gave us so much. Were these stars destined for greatness? Or were they victims of a system that consumes its brightest lights?